You're looking in front of you is one Eva Pena, sergeant with the NYPD. A police sergeant accused of shoplifting drove herself to court in a white Mercedes-Benz on Friday. As it surfaced, she once served as an integrity officer inside the NYPD. Sergeant Eva Pena, 37, was busted in a Yonkers MACY'S on Tuesday night after she was caught on surveillance walking into a dressing room with hundreds of dollars in merchandise, and then abracadabra, Chris Angel, she comes out with nothing. She was also filmed taking the sales tag off the clothing: a pair of Tommy Hilfiger's pants, a beaded sweater, a Guess lace dress, and 3 other Guess items worth a total of $359. Pena, 37, was at PSA, a housing unit where she once served as its assistant integrity control officer, recommending punishments for underlings who commit infractions, a law enforcement source told the Post on Friday. Oh, so she was in charge of the kangaroo court. She had the moral high ground, this Eva Pena, and she would hand out punishments as she saw fit. Pena was all smiles at the courthouse Friday when she arrived, apparently unaware of the media. She wore a light-colored long-sleeve top, black pants with the security tag still attached, and black heels and a clutched Louis Vuitton beige bag. Then she spotted the cameras, and the frown stayed upside down. In court, Pena stood beside her private lawyer, Russell B. Smith, and said nothing as he entered the not guilty plea. I didn't do it. I don't know who put all those clothes in my purse. I was just at Macy's, and I decided not to buy anything. And somebody must have put a whole bunch of clothes in my purse after I decided not to buy anything. Her not guilty plea to petty larceny. Charges on her behalf. The officer was released on her own recognizance and I-bond. Sign your name right here and you can go home right now. Just pinky swear you will show up for court. She is adamant that she did not do it. She has an excellent record with the police department, Smith told reporters afterwards. Pena refused to answer questions as she drove off in her Mercedes. Pena, a cop in the Bronx housing, made $107,000 in 2018, according to the nonprofit Empire Center. So there was no shortage of stock footage, stock film, stock pictures for this story. Eva Pena likes to take pictures of herself, even more than she likes to take clothes. Eva Pena. The incident was even more embarrassing for the NYPD as it came to light that recently Pena had posed for a picture with NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill at a police function. Look at my man James O'Neill right there living his best life. Somehow there's a joke with Eddie Johnson and what he did here. I cannot. Look at Officer Pena's hair. Anyways, let's go to this NYPD blog. This is where a lot of police officers come and talk to each other. Let's see what they have to say. So here's the thread. This is Pressure Point Cop commenting on this comment. Little birdie just whispered in my ear. She was, get this, the Assistant Integrity Control Officer. You cannot make this crap up. And then Pressure Point Cop said, that title, Assistant Integrity Control Officer, reminds me of a sergeant in the Bronx precinct about 1995 who got fired and was doing that gig, 43rd Precinct. He borrowed his girlfriend's car, double parked it in the 45th Precinct with the engine running and the keys in the ignition to get a breakfast sandwich in a deli. Comes out and cannot believe someone took the car. In the 45th Precinct, no less. Rather than look like a fool to his girlfriend, he goes into the 45th and says he was carjacked. CompStat just started, but he did not know that such reports were being taken so seriously. You didn't know carjacking was taken seriously, and he was an officer. Bronx robbery called him in to look at photos. He said, just forget about it. I said, don't worry about it. Forget about that car. I said somebody put a gun to my head and took. Just pretend that didn't happen. Here, look at this black thing I'm holding in my hand. Men in Black reference. They said no, and the lieutenant ordered him to go look. Yeah, you're going to have to care about that car that got taken from you. After a day of looking, he picked someone out. Eeny, meeny, miny. That was the guy. I know. That's exactly what he... Well, now it's all coming back to me. It was him. They arrested the guy, and the good sergeant testified against... He took the stand against him? Well, lo and behold, the guy protested his innocence, which is not usually noticed in court. I didn't do it, Your Honor, I swear. Oh, I never heard that before. So, once you're kind of in the courtroom, it's there's not much you can say to say you didn't do it, because everybody says they don't do it at that point. And sure enough, right before trial, it all came out in the wash. The sergeant somehow beat the BRONX case when they indicted him for perjury, but he lost in the department trial. His verdict came in on New Year's Eve, dismissed. Yet to this day, the Forbes sergeant blames the 45th for not having enough patrol cars out there to prevent such an act. Oh yeah, that's right. The first line in the force continuum is presence. Why did they not have enough patrol cars out there to scare away the bad guys? They screwed up. Anyways, when it went back there, it said that, what did it say? It said it took the stand, it sounded like. They said, Lieutenant, look, okay, they arrested the guy, and the good sergeant testified in the grand jury. He testified in a grand jury against him. He must have been indicted. So this officer this sergeant just left the keys in the car and then picked some poor sap out of a lineup and said it was him, and then took the stand in the grand jury? The grand jury is when they get together a jury of people, and they put forth the evidence to see if there is enough evidence to take this person to trial. It's obviously, it usually happens in a case when there isn't a lot of evidence, or in a case when the person that is being charged with this has a heavy background for the same type of crimes. So I don't think they had enough evidence, or a lot of evidence, so they took it to the grand jury to see if the grand jury would indict him. Oh, there's another, so this one, this is the last of the thread, so this is what Pressure Point Cop actually said. That was KS. On these sites, they use initials, and obviously with grand jury. KS is the person's initial. He was a cop in the 41st and a good guy, all-around good guy. When this incident happened, he was on the lieutenant's list just waiting for his number to come up. So I guess he was on a list to become a lieutenant to get the promotion. He was just waiting for his turn in line. Unfortunately, he was terminated, and I don't think he ever got over it. Shame. So let's think about this in our head. He went to go get a sandwich, left the keys in the car. They stole the car, and he made up a story about being carjacked. Well, at what point would you just say, okay, you know what? I wasn't carjacked. I was embarrassed. I apologize. I left the keys in it. Like, why would you go through all that? I'm going through it in my head. I'm trying to process it and put myself in that situation. At one point, it seemed to me like the obvious thing would be like, dude, I was embarrassed. I didn't, it was a dumb thing to say right off the bat. Like, you really went through all this? You picked out somebody you don't even know out of a lineup? You went and put on a suit and a tie and sat down in in front of the grand jury and pointed this person out? I don't know. That seems weird. It seems like it would have been so much easier just to... But yeah, hindsight's 20/20, I guess. I don't know all the facts and exactly what was going on and what was said. And obviously he got in over his head. This thread goes on a little bit more. A little bit more to say that somebody saw this guy at a diner in the middle of the day, and he was inebriated. And somebody else said, no, they saw him back at like the reunion for the 45th or 38th or whatever district it was, and he was fine. But that's like a lot of the big cities have these public blogs that Officers from all over the city get on and kind of talk to each other. Anyways, this is Sergeant Pena, who still has her job. Sergeant Pena. I don't know. I look at Sergeant Pena and I just think busted. Busted. Anyways, hopefully Eddie Johnson doesn't see this story, because I can see him walking down to New York to apply for the job. This is Disorderly doing the voice work for this story on the Cop-Arazzi. So Disorderly Product News and the Cop-Arazzi wish you the best to you and yours in 2020. Good night.